MBA fans and friends. My name is Nicole Wilson. I serve as Vice President of Economic Development with the Midland Business Alliance. I am so pleased to bring you another edition of the Investor Spotlight, and certainly this morning a man who requires very little introduction. Welcome to Jon Lynch, President and CEO of the Three Rivers Corporation.
Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite parts of the Investor Spotlight is really helping our community to see the incredible leadership we have here in Midland and how accessible that leadership is, and to draw some lessons from your career and the experiences you've had here. I like to kind of center this by asking, what is your why? Why Midland? Why Three Rivers Corporation?
Well, I've been in Midland for over 25 years now. And when I came to town originally, it was 1991. I came as an intern right out of college, and I worked for the planning department at the city. And at that time, I was here just for a few months and got to know the community, got to know some of the key drivers of things that were going on in the community, and really thought it was an interesting place. I didn't realize at that time how special it was, but I knew it was interesting. It was different than other places that I'd been exposed to, and I couldn't really put my finger on it. So from there, I went off, started my career, and years later had an opportunity to come back when the planning director who had brought me here as an intern was retiring. Jim Schrader was his name. And when I had a chance to see the community through the eyes of somebody that didn't know it deeply, and of course at that time Tina and I had all of our children, we have four kids, family in tow, the community as a whole was just incredibly appealing. So as I dug a little deeper and we were thinking about whether or not to relocate our family here, I really came to appreciate how extensively citizens of Midland go out of their way to work together to make things happen, to solve problems and to just get things done. And that spirit of wanting to get things done was the fundamental element that drew us here. Now, after a career with the city in municipal government, I landed at Three Rivers about 8 years ago now. And being the CEO there has been incredibly rewarding because we have outstanding people and we get to be involved in amazing projects. But in Three Rivers, there's a company whose value system was very closely aligned to my own, or other way around. Every organization has a personality. Every organization goes about things in a certain way. And Three Rivers was a company that, by virtue of my former work, I'd come to know. I'd gotten to know John and Sandy Bartos, the founders of the company, and so on. And so, we came to the community because of its spirit for wanting to solve problems. And I went to Three Rivers because of the alignment around values.
Sure, absolutely. So I appreciate that. Usually I ask a question about core values, vision, and alignment, but you've got it there. So wonderful. And kind of a recurring theme we hear in these investor spotlights is, and the word that I keep hearing is special. Midland is special. And certainly that legacy of wanting to solve community problems has continued in your work with the Community Success Panel. And so, very grateful for that leadership as well. Part of being a leader is solving problems and overcoming challenges. And certainly through your career, there are different experiences that call you to really level up or solve a problem maybe you weren't equipped with the skills to do so at that time. So maybe you could tell us about a time where there was a challenge that needed to be solved and it forced you to learn something different or really level up in your leadership.
Yeah, I would say, of course, there's no shortage of challenges. I mean, the farther you go in any organization and the bigger commitment you make to helping people come along, you find the more complex the issues are that land on your desk. That's just the nature of the business, and that's something to be embraced. It's an opportunity to be confronting hard problems. But I would say in my former public role, the most significant challenge was dealing with the major tax appeal cases that were left open at the time that I became the city manager. And the one between the city and Midland Cogeneration Venture to this day, I believe, stands as the longest lasting, highest valued, most extensively litigated case in the history of property tax valuation appeals in the state.
Right.
And, I didn't know anything about purchase power agreements and how, a combined cycle natural gas fired power plant operated and what all those things meant. And what I really came to appreciate was that despite the fact that there was a point of conflict over the valuation, over the number, the parties that were involved recognized how meaningful the outcomes were going to be for the community at large, for all of the public jurisdictions, including the public schools. And so people were very committed to finding a resolution that would not inadvertently be incredibly damaging. And so bringing folks together to find that path forward was, wasn't easy, but it was very important, and we were able to get there. So we got to an outcome that was manageable. And then in more recent history with the construction company, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is our commitment to safety. Safe performance is one of those things that you either talk about or you be about, and we're definitely about it because we want our employees going home at the end of the day the same way they come to us in the morning. And so on occasion, when you have a safety breakdown, particularly if it is one that is caused by acts of commission versus acts of omission, those really give us pause. That really, anytime we encounter something like that where we've made the wrong decision and it's led to the wrong outcome, that always causes me to stop, take a deep breath, and ask ourselves, okay, why did this happen? How did we get here? Because intellectually, we all know what the right path is, but somehow you end up on the wrong path and you get to the wrong ending point, and that can potentially be incredibly harmful to people involved. So, those are things that give you pause.
Sure. So through your career at the city as intern, planning director, city manager, and now at Three Rivers, you've touched quite a few buildings, properties, places here in our community. So while I won't ask you to choose a favorite, I would love to know, are there maybe 3 or 4 that you feel are kind of significant in the legacy that you've built here in Midland?
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about the Dow Diamond. Dow Diamond's an interesting project because it was built by Three Rivers before I went to the company, and the team that was involved in that project pulled it off in under a year. It's an amazing feat, what they accomplished. And obviously it's a transformative kind of project that leaves a fingerprint on the entire region. Right, so pretty amazing that way. But I was involved in it from the planning and permitting end. And so there were a lot of things that had to happen to allow that project to proceed, not the least of which were vacations of public rights of way. There were zoning issues, there were utility placement issues, and that all had to be addressed very quickly in order for the timetable to be met, and so on and so forth. So, that was it was quite a collaboration to get to the finishing point there, and a great project, of course. But then, when I think about the things that Three Rivers gets to be involved in, certainly there are those hallmark projects that affect, I would call it the nature of the community. So Dow Diamond, Midland Country Club, Whiting Forest Overlook, those are all very significant projects, each in their own way. And those are fantastic. They're beautiful, wonderful places that lots of people enjoy. And then there are smaller scale projects that you look at and say, man, they just are essential building blocks to the kind of community that we really want to have and we want to leave behind. Things like the project that we did for Lalonde's Market. There's a business that is a long-standing foundational component to the neighborhood that it's located in. And when you go by there, people are pretty happy to be there. The customers are pretty happy. The staff is always wonderful. Scott and Emily do a great job. And, to be able to partner with people like that is really a blessing. And 85% of our business comes from return customers. And in our industry, that's incredibly rare. A lot of construction businesses view projects as one-offs. I'm going to work with this customer to build this thing, and when it's over, we all get in our trucks and cars and drive away. Sure. But Three Rivers doesn't approach work that way. We view the opportunity to establish a relationship, to continue this opportunity to work together in differing ways as time unfolds. And inevitably, we find ourselves in a spot where we get to go back and continue to partner. And the relationship is the amazing part of that.
And I would say kind of holistically in Midland, those relationships are really what has allowed us to move forward so much as a community in ways that other communities maybe haven't had that good fortune.
Well, they require intention. They require deliberate effort and work. And when you concentrate on putting energy into cultivating relationships, you get to enjoy the fruits.
Absolutely. So I'll give my own shout out to Lalonde's. They're my home market. So the kids and I love to take a walk, especially if they aren't happy with what I've chosen for dinner. So they appreciate that. I would love to know, news and exciting things happening at Three Rivers with your team. You've got an incredible group.
Yeah. Well, there's always interesting stuff going on. So most recently, we just wrapped up our annual conference with Associated Builders and Contractors. We're a member of that construction organization, and they have 26,000 members across the country. So this is the 6th year in a row that we received their highest recognition for safety performance. It's akin to winning a national championship in a collegiate sport. Mm-hmm. And we've done it consistently. And it's hard to do once. It's really hard to do multiple times in a row. And our team is just so committed to safe performance. And that's been recognized by our industry association. And that's amazing to have an outside party look at what you're doing and elevate, those outstanding outcomes. In addition to that, they recognized us as a quality contractor. So there's safety performance and there's quality performance. They evaluate quality performance as well. And we're 3 years in a row on quality performance. And then, of course, the individual accolades that come to our people, we strive to be engaged and involved in our communities. We believe deeply that we all have an obligation to make the places that we're in better. And we do that by working with the people around us. And so we have employees that are, youth sports coaches, elected officials, township supervisors, members of planning commissions, involved with their churches. It's pretty incredible when you hear, what the people are doing. We've got an employee who's a high school fishing team coach. I didn't even know high schools had fishing teams. And, you look at the ways that they get involved, and it's incredible.
Yeah, that's great. Certainly, that sort of leadership is modeled from your leadership and your willingness to serve and your team's willingness to serve. So much appreciated there. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge your MSU fandom. So if I were to say go green,
go white is the proper response.
It is. Yes, I've been chastised if I forget that part. I'm a Bronco, so apologies on that one. Really, I don't have any other scripted questions for you, but just to share that so thankful for your leadership here in our community and of Three Rivers, your partnership in this building, and so excited to be able to celebrate that a little bit later this spring. But thank you so much for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Yeah, thanks.